Welcome everyone to Janome Live. I'm Ann Hine, embroidery specialist for Janome America. Whew, I'll tell you, I've had a little bit of a rush trying to get on the internet today and get all my devices working. I am at the office. If you notice, I have a different screen behind me, a new little thing going on. So I am at the office. I am in our video room, and I'm trying to find us on the Janome page. So let me just double check here. Oh, there I am. Okay. And I'm going to get my comments up so you guys can leave me a comment if you'd like. And if you're out there, go ahead and give me a little thumbs up. I know there's a few people there. So welcome. All right. There we go. Sorry if I was a minute or two late. I'm having an issue with, I normally have an extra camera, and for some reason my iPhone is not working properly today. So I'll have to hold things up to show you. I don't have a down camera at the moment. So I'll have to work on fixing that. So, all right. And I'm trying to find the best place to stand today. Okay. So today we're going to be doing our mystery quilt block, block 5. So we've been doing our mystery quilt block party since January, and we either do 4 blocks in a month, or 2 blocks in a month, or 1 block in a month. And this is a 1 block month. It's block 5. Next month, we're going to do another 1 block, but we're also going to work on how to join our pieces together. So I'll be covering all of that, how you trim your blocks and how you put them all together. Now, I'm going to show one way to do it, but there's lots of ways to do it. So feel free to do it your own way. And as I look at the blocks today, I'll talk about one of the things some people are doing, and it's really up to you. This is for you to learn how to do different techniques using the Artistic Digitizer software, and then really apply it to either other projects or to this project and do it as you want. Okay, so let me see what's up here. If you have any questions, please post them. I do have someone here helping me today. We have Jerry Finio, one of our Janome educators, and I'll have her pop on near the end. I just want to say hi to a couple people. I know Nancy Fiedler's out there. She's a former Janome educator, so it's great to see her. Marty is here. JP's watching. Let's see who else is out there that I know. Dennis is out there. Nancy, Renee, thank you everyone for joining me today. All right, so first I want to go through and I'm going to show you the blocks we've done for the past months, and then I'll cover the one that we have for today. And I did make class notes for the block for today, though there's one more part I need to add, and I'm going to do that probably tomorrow, and I'll post it over on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page. It'll be under the guides, and the mystery quilt block guides are hashtag guide 5. So if you haven't been over to our page, check it out. In the guides, we have lots of videos, tutorials, projects, all kinds of things like that. And you can post your Artistic Digitizer projects, or you can ask questions. All that kind of stuff happens over there. So, and today, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the feed. As I go along, I'll try to answer it if I can. Jerry might point them out to me sometimes when they come up. Sometimes I miss them. Hi, Liz. Liz is out there, and Ginger. How nice. And Tracy's watching. So as I said, I'm at the office, and it's a ghost town here. And so Jerry and I, don't tell anybody, Jerry and I have been sitting in everybody's chair and trying them out to see which we like. So we've sat in Regina's chair, we sat over in Tracy's spot, we went to JP's spot, even Anna's spot. So we're just checking it out, like, maybe we feel like we could do one of those jobs. So we're just checking it out, spinning the chair around, and doing a little bit of that. So it's very much a ghost town today. So we're having fun. We're playing on the new machine and creating stuff. So we're having a blast. And the good news is, when I leave today, that new machine will be in my vehicle, and I'll be taking it to Delaware. So I'm excited. You'll be able to see it in my studio. I'll have it all set up in there, and I'll be doing my my embroidery on there, so you'll be able to see that. So hold on for that. All right, so the blocks we started in January, and we did this 3-strip block. We did 4 different ones, and this one, oh, you can kind of see on this one. This one is hard to see the stitching, and each of the, I'm going to hold the back side up so you can see. There we go, a little bit there. So you can see we applied different things to each block or each strip. And then we did one with our straight line quilting. We did one where we applied stippling over the whole block. And then I did one with different decorative stitches that are built into the software, resizing them, and all of that. Then we got into February, and in February, we did a block. I did a split block, so there's actually two of these. I only have one of them. I don't have the other side. And so this was our February, one of February. So it says I heart, and the other one, it would have the other part of the heart, you. And then we made a mug rug. You could, a lot of these blocks, if you don't want to put them in a quilt, you can put four of them together and make a pillow. You could make mug rugs out of them. You could make tote bags, all kinds of things. So it's really up to you what you do with your blocks. You don't have to put them into a quilt if you don't want to. But next month, I'll be showing you how to join them. So after that, let's see, February, March, we had this block here. We did a little bit more piecing in the hoop, and then we use this. You can use a embroidery design, and then it's hard to see this, but let's see if I can get. Oh, you can see a little bit, maybe right up here on this side. I took the little pins from here, and I made a quilting design to put in the corners of the block. So trying to show you how to take things from other places. Many of you know I'm not an artist, and I kind of borrow and create stuff from other things. So it's, I like doing that. Some of our consumers are really wonderful artists. They can draw beautiful things. I'm not really one of those. I can draw the 70s flower and a heart, and that's about it. And then we did this block that month too. That was, what's that, March? So we have, this is a built-in design, and then I used another little design for the corners. And of course, around the edge here, a decorative stitch. So you can do anything you want with your blocks. In April, we did a bit of crazy quilting. So we worked on a block like this with our crazy quilting. And then you could fashion it into a crazy quilted heart for your second block if you wanted to. It's the same kind of thing. You would use your heart, and then I showed you how to add this outer part in February. So if you look at the February lesson, you'll find that. And we did a stipple all the way around it, all in the machine. This is all done in the machine. And all the blocks, they do not have backing on them. So I don't want to do mine. Some people will do after they do all the stitching, when it's in the hoop, they'll add a piece to the back and do one more stitching around it to hold it on there. And then they'll do their trimming, and then there's a way they can put their blocks together. I'm going to assemble the whole front of my quilt, and then I'm going to lay it on my backing fabric and attach it at that point. So you can stand by for that. That'll be next month in June. And then this month, I thought I would work on something with applique. And we have done similar things before. And I'm just going to take a quick look to see if there's anything over here, any questions. I don't see any. Oh, JP says he wish he could be there with us too. Yeah. And I know it is a ghost town, really, isn't it, Jerry? I think it's a little bit of a ghost town. So this month I did applique, and I left it in the hoop. This is the hoop for our MC17. This is the square hoop. So it's very big. I didn't use the quilting hoop for this because I'm just doing an inner block, and I'm stitching on a woven poly mesh, actually a poly mesh there, because it's nice and soft and I don't have to remove it. I can trim it later and leave it in my block. You can see it'll be nice and soft in here. But you can really use, whatever you want for your stabilizer. I like it because I don't have to remove it. If you use a paper type or tearaway, you might have that in your quilt and it will be a little crinkly till you do a bit of washing with it. So you want to maybe check out that. So let me hold this up again so you can see. So this applique is a little different. I wanted to show in the center here, these are layered pieces of applique. It is raw edge applique. You don't have to do raw edge. You can do a satin stitch around yours if you want, but I wanted to show you different ways to use the applique feature. So some parts of it, we used the applique feature. Down here for the stem, we created manually, and then the little leaves here, we drew these and we created those with the applique part, and also this little side part here. So, and I don't know if it's going to show, I'm going to try to get it close. On this little edge piece here, that I put a double stitch. I did a satin stitch and then I put a bean stitch on top of it just to give it a little more, just a little bit of extra look to it. So that's our block, and you don't have to do this particular flower. You can you can create your own shape, your own flower. I just happen to like this shape. I was playing around with things and I just seem to like that shape a lot better. All right, so I'm going to go to the software and show you how I created it in the hoop. I don't have the machine with me, so we're not going to do any stitching, but I'll show you in slow redraw how it all works so you can see the different layers and you'll be able to work from there. All right, so let's go to our software. There we go. All right. I'm going to move I have this little inner window that's always in the way and of my software. Let's see if I can move it to this side. Okay. So what I want to do first is I'm going to open up the block I already created so you can see a finished one in the hoop. And I've saved it here. I have a folder that is my mystery quilt blocks, and then I have a folder within there for each month so I can keep everything in there. So I saved one as a draw file. Actually, I have two draw files, but this is my most current one. And the reason you want to save as your draw file is you want to be able to do any edits to that when you are done. Maybe you stitch it out and you find a spot that you have to fix. If you've saved it as a draw file, you just have to go back to your draw file and make your edits. If you've saved it only as a GEF, then you're going to have to convert to curves and work with it that way. You're almost going to do a little bit of backwards working on that. Okay. Oh, Ginger, you're right. You know, adding fringe. Now you're giving me just another idea. Jerry's laughing like, yeah, see, isn't that it's kind of neat. Oh, someone said it looks like a cat's face. Okay, yeah, I can see that. And that's kind of cool, you guys. I love that. I love that. So I'm going to zoom in here on the flower. Now I want to point out a couple things. My stem, it looks like it's on top of the applique. But this applique here is just a graphic, so it can't really cover up what's behind there. And you'll see I'm stitching it near the top of the piece, so it is behind this. But just so you know when you're creating, and the best way to notice that is to go to your slow redraw over here, and you can see how it stitches. So we'll go over there first and check that out. And let me go back just a little bit. So this design starts with our placement line, and this will let me know where I'm going to put my batting in the hoop. So I can lay my batting and my backing fabric right over this line. And this is our block base. So in the very beginning, we made a block base and saved it as block base. And then I just have to bring this in each month. It's ready to go, and I can just move from there. This will hold down the top fabric and the batting. And that black line will be our trim line later. And the gold line is a 1/4 inch away from that. So we have our space there. And then next up, if you can look along the bottom, you'll see we're going to go into the green. And I did a manual stitch. I'm going to actually stop it. I did a manual applique here. So I created the 3 parts, and they're different colors. So there's the first part, placement. And then we're going to have tack down. And then it's going to stop and go to the next color. And it'll do that finishing stitch. So because it's all different colors in your machine, it will actually stop. It's not going to stop in here for me unless it's an actual, you'll see it jump away if it's an actual applique, as we'll look at later. So I'll move this ahead just a little bit. It's like watching paint dry. And then it's going to do our leaves. So I drew the leaf and I made it an actual applique. And the reason I know it's an applique is it does this jump out stitch. And your jump out stitch can be any length you like. You would have to go up to tools and options and change it there. In my Mac, it's actually under artistic. I think it's under preferences, or one of these up here. Where is it? But anyways, so you can change that. Sometimes when it's too close to the edge of a hoop, it'll say your design is too large for the hoop because your machine actually moves aside so you can lay your fabric down. So now I've laid my fabric down. It's going to do the tack down. It'll jump out again, and then I can trim it, and then it'll start the finishing stitch. And then it's going to go over here and do the other side, and then it's going to go up to my flower. So you can see by the way this is stitching, those jump stitches won't show, they're not actually there, that this flower, oops, hang on one second, let me get in there, is going to stitch on top of the stem. So you know it's not, you know it's in the proper order, and you can look in the sequence window to see that too. So it does the placement, I put my fabric down, it does a tack down, and then once it comes up, it's going to do I can trim it, it'll jump out and stop, and then I'll trim, and then it'll come back and do the E-stitch. And then we'll do the next one. See if I can move it ahead just a little bit. There we go. And it's going to go in here and do placement, tack down, and then finishing stitch. And then the inner part, I just created a fill. First I made it a step, and then I gave it a stitch, a fill stitch. So it has this look as little flowers, and then I put an outline around it that was the E-stitch. I created another applique for this side, and this has a placement. Here's the tack down after I have my fabric laid there. And then I applied a satin stitch just to this edge, so that was a manual portion. I only used 2 parts of my applique feature. I didn't have to pick a finishing. So it's doing the tack down. Once it gets to the top, I will trim it. And then it's going to start the satin stitch. I have a different underlay under there. You can see my underlay. There goes the satin stitch. I'm going to move that along a little bit. And then on top of that, I put the bean stitch. Now in mine, when I stitched it out today, I would make this a little bit wider. It's just on the edge. I think I'd do it just a bit wider. But so that's something to remember when you're doing it. And it is your project, so you want to make it your own and make your own changes to it. So let me double check here. I don't think we have any questions. Yeah, I did see that, Elaine. I saw the picture that looks kind of like a heart face, a cat face right in here. All right, so let's go back to selection, and I'm going to open a new page and show you how I created the parts of this design. So I'm going to go actually to the welcome page, and oh, I don't have my block base there, so let me go get it. I'm going to go to browse. I have a USB in, so I can find the, let's see if it's under block 1. Might not have the block base today. All right, we'll do it this way. We'll go back to here, and I'm going to select from my sequence window. I'm going to click on the first one, hit shift, and click on the second one. I'm going to go to copy, go to a new page, and then I'm going to hit paste right here. And now I have that block base. So we're all set to start on this one. Now I can change my hoop from here. This one, I'm on the MC550E. So if I come up here and hit change, I have not changed over this program to the MC17 yet, but it's very easy. I'm going to come here, go all the way to the top. There's the CM17. Here's all the hoops. I want to use this one. Then I'll hit select. So there we go. I've changed my hoop. I would actually go back here and make the change right here. So every time I open my computer, it'll have the proper hoop. I won't have to change it each time. But there you go. All right, so the first part I did was that stem, and I used the digitized outline shape, and I started with a shift and a left click because it's at the top, and then I came down here a bit, and I kept the shift down, and I made another square node so that it will keep the line nice and straight on the edges, and then I let go of the shift, and I'm going to put about 3 curve nodes. Then I'm going to hit shift again to get a corner or straight node. And then I'm going to come up here, hit shift again and click, right click, end shape. There is my U shape. And I'm going to select it. So this will be my placement line. And I like to make everything different colors. So I would go into my colors over here. And let's see where we're at over here. I want to see if we can put this on Janome. Oops. Hang on one second. There we go. Now I use Janome when I'm designing because there's not a zillion colors and I don't need a lot of shades. So it makes it a little easier. So this one is my placement. So I'm going to turn it into a bright green. And then I'm just going to come up here to duplicate. And I'm going to change it to another color. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to use this turquoise color. This is the tack down. And then after the tack down, I'm going to do duplicate again. I'm going to change it to this yellow green. I'm going to go to my properties and I'm going to pick a stitch right in here. So I can look in my properties and see I'm in outline, running, stitches. And the stitch I used for this is, let's see if I can find it on here. Oh, I don't know. It's here somewhere. The stem 229 is what it is. So you can put up here 229. Now, when I started working this project, I actually made the top of the flower first. Then I went to my stem and flowers and made the rest of it, just so that that's just how I work. And then I had to re-sequence it in the sequence menu on the side. So here's my sequence window. It's only showing one, but if I click on auto up here, it will show you, oops, I guess it didn't take all my colors when I changed color. Let's pull these apart and see. Maybe I wasn't clicking enough. There's that whoops everybody likes to hear. Let me do undo. There we go. Okay, let's go back to colors and we'll select a green. Oh, it's not changing. Why is it not changing? You know, there's always something happening when you, well, it should be changing colors. Let's go in here, select, and wow. All right, so you're supposed to change colors. That's the way I do it. For some reason, my colors are not working. Let me try a different one. I don't know why that's happening. We'll go to Hilo Iris, and let's find some greens. Try this one. It could be, I'm on a laptop stand. Let's see if it, this is bizarre. Okay. Well, for some reason, my colors aren't working. So you would make your color, you would make them all different colors so that in your sequence window, you would see, just like I have over here, I have the tack down, I have the placement, the tack down, and then the decorative stitch. They're all different colors in here. Then I did the leaf. Now the leaf is all in one block because this is the applique feature. So let me create that and I'll show you that. So let's make this, so my stem would be much narrower. Let's see if I can get all of that or some of it. And you can make things any size you want. It's your project, remember that. And I love when you guys make your projects and post them. Sometimes you give me great ideas, just like Ginger did about the fringe flower. That would be really pretty in the front, in the middle too. And I did a video on how to create fringe. So you don't have to use the built-in fringe flower. You could create your own fringe for your flower. So I used the digitize outline shape tool. Why is it, okay, wait a minute. Maybe it's that little inner window is causing an issue. There we go. All right, so I have my digitize tool. I'm going to start with a corner or a line, and then I'll do, so I'm hitting my shift first and clicking, lift, no shift, left click. I'll do shift there, left click, and then I'll come right on top, and there it is. And I'm going to select it. And it has both, you can see down here, an outline and a fill. I'm just going to delete the outline because when I do the applique, it'll give it an outline, and that way I won't have a shadow outline under there. Sometimes that black one will stay under there. So in properties under fill, so I have to make sure fill is selected. So here we are in fill. I'm going to select applique, and you can see it changed right here. And you can, if I zoomed in over here, you'll see it looks like fabric. There we go. And I'm going to choose fabric trim during embroidery. So it's going to give me a placement, a tack down, and then the finishing. And for my finishing, I'm going to choose fixed zigzag right there. And then I did make some changes to that zigzag. And to do that, you would just go to outline. Down in here, you can make any of your changes to the width of it, to the density of it, compensation, underlay, any of those things that you want to change, you can do. Okay, so I made one, and once I got the first one done, I could select it, and I went up to duplicate, then I did mirror, and I moved it to the other side of my stem. Let me go out a little bit here. And then when it's over here, you know, you can really do anything you want with them. If you wanted to turn it a little more, I mean, you could actually do a little skewing if you want to change your, you know, you can be very creative with all of this. So you can play with all your different tools if you wanted to. So let me undo that and go back to my regular. There we go. So, and it does look like a little bit of a face now. There we go. So when setting a satin stitch or a blanket stitch, what settings would I use? It depends on what I'm doing. Like here, I just left it at this, I think I wrote the settings down that I used, but when I do a satin stitch, usually I do like a 2.5, maybe a little bit larger, depending on where it's going. And you don't want to, remember, you don't want to go too large, because if your satin stitch is too wide, one, your machine will think it's a jump stitch and it won't make it. And the other thing that's more important is you'll get things caught in it and it becomes compromised. So it's a fine line what you're doing with your satin stitch. So you could make yourself a little, because I noticed on mine, I might go back and do this. On mine, it was a little narrow, and I might go back and make myself a little sample with different width satin stitches, so I can actually, I'm very visual, so I could see what's going on. And I know on the screen it looks great, but sometimes when you actually apply it to your fabric, there's, you know, it's covering your fabrics, thread that's underneath there. So what you think is wide enough might not be wide enough in the end. And it does depend on what you have underneath. And you can fix some of that with the density and the compensation of it. All right, let's go to, is that the only one? That was our only question, Jerry? Okay. All right, so let's work on the flower. And I'm actually going to select these things. I'm going to delete these out of the way for now because we have them on the other one. So when I created the flower, it's very quick to do. And I used my shape tool, rectangular. And then up here in roundness, I think I put it at like 59 or 60%. And we could do 60. And when you click and drag, it makes your nice corners round. And then I selected it. And for mine, I changed the size of it. You can really make it any size you want, but for mine, and it is in the directions what size I use. So you can match mine if you like, or just make it your own. Because I just dragged the corners till it looked nice. So the width and the height, I'm going to uncheck proportional. The width and the height are kind of a weird size. I have like 2.623, and that's inches for that one. And then for the width, well, that's width. The height is 2.48, because I was just dragging the corners. And then after I got it done, I was like, oh, they're probably going to want to know what size I used. So there are my sizes right up there. Be sure to uncheck proportional when you're doing that. Now, I do it in inches. If you're set in millimeters, all you have to put in, if you want my measurements, is this number right here, 2.622, followed by the letters IN, and it will convert it to millimeters for you. And it'll say, it'll be in millimeters on your screen. Okay. So it's very easy. If you're someone working in inches and someone gives you a measurement in millimeters, just put in their measurement followed by mm, and it will give you the inches for that. Okay, yeah, the default isn't always wide enough. Ginger's right on that. It isn't always wide enough. All right, so here's my first part, and I'm going to delete that outline and just have this portion here. I'm going to go to my properties, and I'm going to select fill and applique. And the first one was a, let's see, what did I use for the first one? Fabric trim, fix E-stitch. So I went to E-stitch. And I actually made my outline a different color, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to get a color. I will try. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I don't know why my colors isn't working, but that's kind of day it is going to be today. So here you can see my little E-stitch. Let's go back to properties because I want to show you a couple of changes. You want to make sure when you start that you change remove overlaps to never. Remember I said we're going to layer these, and if you don't do that, you're going to have holes, what look like holes in your applique, and the software will try to put stitches in those holes. Okay, and that looks like this. Let me go back and I'll set it on auto, and I'm just going to duplicate the one I have. We'll just copy paste it, and I'm just going to make the second one a little smaller so you can see what goes on. Let's see here. Oops. So can you see in this picture here how it's leaving, it's actually going to leave a hole. This is actually the stitch out here, but the base one is going to have a hole there. It's going to want a hole, and it's going to put stitches around it. So if we went to this one and we selected never, and we go to the next one and we select never, see that went away. Sometimes you also have to go into your outline and select an outline and say never in there. Okay, so I'm going to delete this last one because I want to show you how I did the inner parts. So that's the first part of my flower. I selected it. Actually, I just really kept it selected through the whole thing. And right in here, I went to duplicate. And with duplicate, what's nice, the difference between copy, paste, and duplicate, depending on where you are in your sequences, duplicate always puts it right after the item you selected. Copy paste will put whatever you copy pasted at the bottom of your sequence window. So you may have to go find it if you want it to stitch sequentially. So when you want things to go one after the other, when you want to duplicate or copy paste, use duplicate. And there's my duplicate. I checked proportional, and then I just played with the scale X. It'll change scale Y because I have proportional. And maybe I want to scale it down 80%, so I'm going to put 80 in there and enter. And then I looked at that and went, nope, not enough. So it's highlighted again. Maybe I want to go 60%, enter. That's a little bit small. I'm going to go up just a little bit. So to go up, I'm going to do, let's say 110. There we go. So it went up just a little bit. So you can play around. After you put in your number, did you notice mine went to 100? It went back to 100 because this is actually considered 100% at that point. So you can use a lower number to shrink things down and a higher number to increase the size. And then on this one, I made a different color. I went over here and I changed it to a zigzag. And both on mine, both the solid part is a different color from my outline. Visually, for me, I like that, and also for designing. That way, you have the machine will put stops in there, so it'll be a little bit easier for you to work with. And it's visually easier to see. Look over here, and everything's a different color, so you can see what it is. And when you go through your sequence window, you can see that this is 2 colors. This one is going to be 2 colors. And this is a different one. It's still 2 colors, but it's not an applique. And we'll do that one next. All right, so go back to your first one, or where we You're going to have this one selected, duplicate again, and then we're going to change that from an applique to a fill. So I'm going to go over here to fill. And because I'm working with my original, I don't have to make any changes here because we're keeping the same one. I'm going to make a step fill. I'm going to pick a stitch because I want to fill it with a stitch. And I used, I believe it's J something. Let's see, where's my little note for that? J088. So in here, I'll put J088. There it is. That's what it looks like. For the outline, I changed my outline. I wanted to go to a running stitch. So I selected running. I wanted to use applique, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see. It has the applique. Let's see when we go to look at it. I want the applique to be mirrored to the outside. These little stitches here, I think are my, oh, I know what it is. It's the extra. Remember, I didn't delete my outline, so you have that extra outline up there. So let me delete that. And I'm going to go to outline again, and then running and pick applique. And I can close that because I want applique. And in here, I'm going to mirror my stitches across so it pops them out. I have an extra stitch in there. I'm not sure what's happening with that. I think because everything is red, that's what's going on, and I can't change the color for some reason. But you can see, we'll zoom in on my original so you can see what's going on there. Let's see, whoops. I have to move this inner window back and forth, which is sort of a pain. I don't know why it's doing that. All of a sudden, there was an update, and all of a sudden, that little window won't go where it's supposed to go. Go figure. So on the inside here, you can see that that's orange. And we'll go down here to the orange one. There's applique, and I mirrored my stitches across. Watch what happens when you do none. They go inside. When you do along, they just move along there a little bit, across. There we go. And then both sort of sets them different spacing on there. So if you want them to go out or in, you can play with the mirror stitches. So there we go. Then the last part of this was creating this piece over here. And that was actually fairly easy to create. We'll look at it here. I used my digitize outline shape, and I started up here with a shift and click to get a corner node, shift and click for corner node. Down here on the right corner, shift and click corner node, another corner right here, and then I went with my curved nodes. So they're all left clicks, just all along here. When I got up here, I put the last one on top of the first one with the shift and clicked it, it fills it in, and then I did right click and shape, so it fills it in. I selected it, I went over to my properties, picked applique, and then I didn't pick one of these. Okay, I just really left it as a straight stitch, so it's just giving me a placement and a tack down. It's not giving me finishing. I created the finishing stitch myself by again drawing with my digitize outline shape tool, this shape, just following along over here. And then that one I made a satin serial, and here's my outline width. I would probably change that now. And then I made another, I took this one and did duplicate, changed the color, and picked a bean for that. So really not so hard to do. Make sure after you get it done that you do save it as a draw file. I'm going to put the camera back on. There we go. All right. So not too difficult of a block, but I wanted to show you how to do something layered where you don't want the software. The software will automatically remove stitches underneath anything that you layer. So when you don't want that to happen, you have to go to your properties, you have to go to remove overlaps and change that to never. You have to do it for each of the layers and also for your outline that's with those layers so that it makes sure it works with all of those. So sometimes it takes a little clicking back and forth to get that all figured out. So, Well, let's see if there's any last questions. I'm almost done, I think. Thank you all for joining me today. Did you see any questions, Jerry? Well, I'm going to have Jerry pop over here so you can see Jerry. I did an Instagram live. When did I do that? Tuesday? Yeah, on Tuesday. Feels like I've been here like a month. So this is Jerry Finio. Come a little closer so you're actually in there.
Yeah,
There
I'm
we
not
go.
as petite as Anne
I
here,
know,
right?
really. If I need to move it, shrink down so you're at my level.
Isn't this is such a fun project. I
Isn't
want to see the fringe, Ginger.
I know. I want to do fringe on there. I think that inner part would be great, then put fringe around it. So, Ginger, I'm looking for yours, so you're going to be posting
And the
yours for
cat
me
eyes. I see the leaves, Elaine, that you were talking about with the cat
with
eyes.
the
So
cat eyes. So maybe you could make a cat, maybe change that up and maybe put some ears up there. I mean, really,
yeah.
this is your project. So you don't have to use a flower. And, I did a little hip to be square flower. So, who knows? And so
Thanks for joining us.
Oh,
I'll
thanks,
let
Jerry,
Anne
for popping
take
in.
over.
So Jerry's one of our educators. She started before COVID, and but then went out and did a couple events, and then COVID hit, so we all were home. So she's restarting. So you may see her in a booth out and about when we start doing our more assignments as they come in. We're getting more things for the fall. So quilt shows and dealer events are all happening now. Be sure to check with your dealer or do a search online to see where things are happening. And some things they post to the Janome, so the page we're on right now. I think there's a link on this page also for my Instagram live. If you find the ad for it and you look in the comments, it's with Sew for Home, and they linked it in there. Danielle did that for me. So there we go. All right, everyone. I'm going to let you go. It's the holiday weekend. Our weekend is starting right now, right, Terry?
Oh yeah, we
Yep.
gotta go hit
It-
those offices.
we're gonna get things done and get on the road ahead of traffic and anything else that's happening today. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next week, same time, same bat channel, and with something new. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I never know what I'm doing next week. I only look, right after one thing is done. So it'll be certainly be something fun next week. So have a great one, everyone. You'll be looking forward to seeing a machine behind me the next time. And get out there, enjoy our sunshine when we have it, and then come in and do a bit of sewing. I want to see your blocks. Post them to the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page, and we'll ooh and ah over your things. Bye for now, everyone.